In 2008, I filed bankruptcy. I lost my house. I basically was out of work and lived on a boat that eventually started taking on water. And now I have a house in Merida, Mexico, mortgage free.
Hey Gen Max, you just met Amy. You might have met her before from the YouTube channel Destination Retirement, but we are going to hear her entire story from bankruptcy to owning this gorgeous place here in Mexico. I'm actually staying with Amy here in Mérida. So I've got a couple days here in Merida. I'm making a bunch of videos, so there'll be a whole bunch of videos, but Amy is the last one I'm recording before I hop on the Maya train over to Playa del Carmen. So let's get to know Amy, kind of hear the backstory, and we'll move over to talking about this house and giving you a tour of the house. So Amy, what's your story?
So what's my story? Well, that's a really big question. You're going to have to buy my friend Brighton here a few margaritas because this could take a while. But I'll give you the kind of the short version. So in 2008, I'm working in Seattle in real estate. Obviously, the market crashed, as did my business. I did not, pivot and become a foreclosure expert or anything like that. I basically just lost everything. I lost my house. I begged this really nice gentleman to let me rent an apartment in this super cool apartment building. I was so happy to find this little apartment. And then within probably about 6 months, he sold the building to a developer who then was going to remodel and double the rents. So I got out of there and I bought this little tiny houseboat in Seattle. I found it on Craigslist and it was a hunk of junk. I mean, it was so bad and I loved it so much. I didn't even have the money to pay for the whole thing. I bought it, I gave him half down, $15,000. And then the other half, I, just begged for a couple of months to be able to pay it off with my next commission, so that worked out. And I kind of fixed her up as I went, but one day, not too terribly long after I owned it, it started taking on water. Not like abandoned ship and, putting on the life jacket and all that, but when you go up to your house and you kind of see it leaning one way in the water a little bit, and then that's kind of normal. One side of the boat's heavier than the other. But one morning I get up and go to crack the egg and put it in the pan, and the egg literally goes to one side of the pan. And then I ran out the door onto the dock and I looked back at the houseboat, and sure enough, it was leaning pretty bad. So I run back in there and I'm opening all the holes in the floorboards to look in there, and sure enough, there was water coming in the back by the bathroom. So I hauled it out. So now I've lost my house, I've lost my apartment, I'm on a boat that's not in the best shape, but I loved living on the water. And then I hauled it out. Then I began the process of couch surfing for about 7 months, I'd say, staying with different friends, a month here, a month there, so I didn't wear anybody out. And I would fix up the boat as I went. One check we go to, okay, all new electrical and plumbing, because they lifted the boat out of the water, so it's on the hard, we call it. And when they cut away the hull, which was plywood and fiberglass, it just like water, and it was like sawdust. I literally carried some around in a baggie in my car for a while, like, look at this, I was sleeping on this. So thanks to the generosity of some friends and just asking for help when I needed it, I stayed with them while I fixed it up. Then we put her back in the water and life was good again. Real estate was starting to pick up again. And then I decided to move back home to Oregon in 2017 because my parents were having some health problems and my business was pretty easy to pick up and move. My other siblings, not so much, but I was like, you know what? I'm coming home. You only get one go on this, and it was too scary, so I up and moved home. My parents are okay, by the way. And when I moved home, I sold that little houseboat that I fixed up, and boy, I fixed it up. I sold that at a profit. So that gave me a little bucket of cash. I keep moving the same buckets around. So now I was doing good. And I moved to Oregon. I bought a houseboat there. And I always say I only put down enough to actually buy the houseboat. And I saved that little chunk of change that I made from the sale of the teeny tiny, it was 240 square feet. Like, the living space was 12 feet wide by 18 feet long. Oh, but the outside, it was 24 feet long. But literally, the living space was super tiny. Really cute. Brighton will show you a picture. So anyway, I had moved back home, bought this other floating home that I loved. Of course, it was in need of fixing up because, that's my affliction in life, fixing things up. And I found a gem again, and I lived in it and fixed it up and fixed it up. And then one day, I'm sitting in my bed on my laptop going down the YouTube rabbit hole because I'm staring down the barrel of 50 years old at this point in my life, and I'm looking at all the videos on retirement, saving for retirement, the 4% rule, all of this stuff. And I'm like, I have nothing saved. I was doing okay. I was paying the bills, saving up, but not saving up retirement levels. So I'm like, what am I going to do? Well,
so this is the perfect time for a commercial break. So are you guys getting the hint of the story here? These are the types of stories that I love to bring to you, which are the stories of people who were struggling to make things work in the United States. And here's a little foreshadowing. Amy discovered that Mexico was a place that she could make things work rather well to be able to retire and not just keep working and working and working. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are staring down the barrel of that gun of the inability to retire in the United States because things are just getting crazy expensive up there. So let's go back to Amy's story where she's looking down the barrel of that retirement gun and surfing YouTube and see where she goes to.
So there I am sitting in my bed going down the YouTube rabbit hole on retirement and whatnot. And I ended up settling on Mexico. But first I thought about, okay, what if I work really, really hard and I pay off my house? And then I've got my Social Security and my house is paid for. But even at that, with slip fees, because I was on a floating house, insurance, taxes, health insurance, and all that, that would have eaten up all of my Social Security check and then not left me any money for, food, entertainment, travel, any of that. So I started to think about Mexico in particular because in the early 90s, I had spent some significant time in Mexico, picked up the language, I speak Spanish, and just absolutely fell in love with the culture. So then the matter of where in Mexico, right? Mexico is a huge country. And I started looking at different cities that I'd been to and kind of milling around and seeing what real estate was like there. And I found the city of Mérida, Mexico, by accident. I had a family member who was in Playa del Carmen that would say, Amy, you've got to check out Playa. And I would look at all the websites and the, condos and this and that. And it was just on a website, there were all the cities on the drop down menu and there was Merida. And I just absolutely fell in love with it visually before I ever moved. So I started gobbling up all the YouTube videos that were available on Merida at the time. And at that time, there weren't that many. It's about 2017, 2018, when all of this is starting to gurgle in my head. And then I took my first trip to Merida in 2018.
Amy has decided on Merida, and I gotta say, it is hot here. We're sitting in some air conditioning. No one will ever deny that Merida is not hot. So we're filming this in February, and it's been a little bit sweaty outside, but not too bad. Actually, I had thought that it was going to be in the 90s, but it doesn't feel like it's gotten that bad. It's actually a nice breeze going too. But let's go back to Amy's story, and I really like to hear about how folks made it happen. So what kind of sacrifices needed to be made to be able to make their dream happen. And we're going to come up with that dream of this place that we're sitting in, which is just gorgeous, and we're going to get a tour of it. But let's see what a little more on the sacrifices.
All right, let's talk sacrifice or massive action, as some would say. Brighton is sacrificing by coming here to Merida, Mexico, and sweating a little bit to bring you guys this video. I hope you appreciate him and subscribe. He's a wonderful human being.
Perfect.
Anyhow, there you go, buddy. So I had decided on Merida, and now I'm in Oregon in the floating home that I bought. It was a bigger floating home than I wanted, but it was a good deal, and I bought it. So I fixed it up a little, every time I'd make a new commission, I would put it in the house, fix it up, do something to update it. And then I got it to a level to where it was massively updated. And this is like, I could have taken commissions and bought fancy cars, expensive vacations or whatnot. I drive a 2012 car that's got 200,000 miles on it. You like my skirt? It's from the Goodwill. You'll see this later. Anyway, so what I did is the interest rates were pretty good at that time. I refinanced my floating house so I could take out as much as I could at the time. But when you do that, that all sounds dandy, right? But when you do that, then you've got a brand new shiny mortgage payment that was twice what I was paying before. So I took in a roommate to offset my mortgage payment. And this is where it kind of gets to sacrifice a little bit. I loved my roommate. My house was not built very well for roommates because I could hear everything. And my roommate, George, who was 80 when he moved in with me, had one of those voices, and like the worst one was like when he would be on hold with some company on the phone. He's like, and then he's shouting at his girlfriend, "I'm on hold. I'm talking to Comcast." Like that kind of voice. I mean, you could just hear everything. Very, very sweet man. So he was with me for 2 years, and then he passed away. That was peaceful, and I'm glad that he got to spend that time at my house. That happened at my house by design, and with hospice, and everything was very peaceful and loving and family. So that was kind of a beautiful time in my life. It started out as sacrifice and ended up as something like, wow, that was really special. Anyhow, so then no George, and I still have the mortgage payment. And then with that refinance money, I bought the house, the first house, the small 1-bedroom house that I love that's right in the middle of Centro. And Brighton can show you a little clip of that house. But then now I was back to having the big mortgage payment, and I was pretty much done having the roommate. Like, I don't want to take in another roommate. So also part of my 5-year plan for retirement was that I would sell my floating house, which was rather big, and buy a small one. And I love the marina I lived in, so I was very specific with the universe. I said, I want to sell this house, I want a small one, but I want to stay in the same marina. Sure enough, about probably within a year of George passing away, a small house became available, and I bought it. So I went from 2,000 square feet and 4 bedrooms to 550 square feet. And guess what I did to that house? I remodeled it. Kind of as you go, I remodeled that house there. So that's how I came to acquire the smaller house. And along that several year process, I just white knuckled it and saved money, and I acquired the house that we are sitting in right now, which was in the state of a ruin when I purchased it.
We do have some photos of the ruin that this house was before Amy moved in. So I think she said it was vacant for quite a while before she moved in, and she did an amazing job of renovating this place. So you're seeing the pictures on screen now of what things looked like before, and we're going to show you about what things look like after. So let's get a tour from Amy of this place here, this house. And you've seen a couple of photos of the smaller house that she bought first. She calls that the library house. This house, I'm not sure what she calls.
The blue cactus house.
The blue cactus house. Oh, and I almost forgot, we are going to talk about numbers because you guys love numbers, and Amy has agreed to share costs. So let's check out this place. Let's get the tour.
All right, coming in the front door here, I'm all smiles because this chandelier I absolutely love. I had tried to design I'm a designer. So not. Big fail. I designed this super hideous chandelier, and then it had to be taken down because I hung it up and it was disgusting. So I found this one here by a local company, and then these floors that are down here, these are called pasta tile floors. Every single one of them is hand poured. So every tile is handmade, and it is the signature thing of the old Colonial homes here in the Yucatan.
Speaking of pasta tiles, I actually did an interview with an architect. It should be up over here if it's available. And we talk a lot at the end of that interview. We talk a lot about pasta tiles and how they work and the history and all that kind of stuff. So if you're really into the pasta tiles, because they are very cool and they are very much a Merida thing, check out that video too.
I love to talk about my pasta tiles. I went to the factory and I chose them right there. They let me go in the back and see how they were made. The original pasta tile floors were reclaimed and used up on the roof, so you'll see that here in a minute. And the other feature to the entrance here is the exposed rock wall, which is called mamposteria. That's a hard one to say. And then if you look all the way up to the beamed ceilings, these beams are the steel I-beams, which used to be part of the old Henneken plantation days. And that also indicate that the house was built after 1880. And now it's all like circa 2023. Okay, the next room we come into is the dining room. Do we want to go to the TV room first or the dining room?
Let's do the TV room.
Let's do the TV room. Okay. The TV room is, again, pasta tiles that I chose. This is a pattern called flamboyant, and it's the shape of the pod from the flamboyant plant. And this room is just a sweet, relaxy room. You'll see the door from the living room into the kitchen is the really big, old door. So two things you notice here. That very old door, which we had to keep because of the historic district and wanted to keep, right? That's stunning. But you can also notice how thick the walls are. Like if you look the thickness between the transition there, that's how thick these walls are. So from the TV room, how lovely that you can just pop into the kitchen for a snack, make some popcorn. Yeah, and I just love my little open concept kitchen here. The nice thing about the kitchen is it's open to the dining room, so I can kind of see everything going on, have guests over, and it just makes a nice flow. And I also like that I introduced a few antique pieces. Like most of the furniture is newly made by a company here, and I have some antiques. Speaking of, right over the coffee machine, this painting right here is a custom painting from a picture I took of what this backyard used to look like. And I just thought the photo was so cool that I decided to put it in a painting. And then this other painting over here by the dining table is a tango scene that was done by a local artist that I really like. Should we go outside next or bedrooms?
Let's go outside.
Let's go outside. Okay, and then end at bedrooms. So
we're gonna end on the roof.
We're gonna end on the roof. Okay. From the dining table, you can see these gorgeous accordion style doors that open up to the patio and the pool. And the pool is very fun to dunk in every single day because you need to in Merida, sometimes twice. And then from the pool, there's this little, balcony. No, what is it?
Alcove.
Alcove. From the pool, there's this little alcove and you go right or left into one of the two bedrooms. Each bedroom has its own full bathroom. So we've got what I call the guest bedroom over here. This one with the black blanket, the cool black lamps. It's the B room. B for Brighton.
There we go. That is where I'm staying.
Yes, and next time Kat's coming so that they can both stay here and enjoy Merida. And then from that bedroom, there's also a full bathroom attached. But as we go across to the primary bedroom, which is in the back, so I just call that one the primary because it's farthest from the road for noise, and because it has the cool bathroom. As we go into the primary bathroom shower, you see that it's got the exposed mamposteria and a skylight in there, so it's open to above. There's airflow coming through. So I very much love taking a shower in there.
So let's take us up top now.
All right, let's head up these stairs here to the roof. Now, when I first built this house, the wall to the back wasn't there. My neighbor on the other side invited me over very politely, and she said, please sit here by her pool on the pool's edge and look up because she knew I was doing a roof deck and she was concerned about privacy. So I built this wall here. When I built it, it was just a big, ugly slab of concrete. And one of my favorite things about this house that's not actually mine is her cactus. It is the most stunning plant. So I told the artist that I hired that my only direction for him was, please make it an extension of the cactus. I wanted to look like it just kind of was all one thing. And then he made it this playful image, and I absolutely love that. But you can see as we come up around the corner here that I've got some nice cushions built in, the reclaimed pasta tile from the floors down below. There's a hammock for enjoying, a full plumbed bar, like there's a wet bar back here. And there's also a half bath because, you know, who wants to run all the way downstairs if you're up on the roof deck having a margarita?
And we are definitely going to be having a margarita once this interview is over. The sun is setting. It's probably getting nice and cool outside. I can see the breeze blowing, and now I can appreciate the cactus. I didn't notice that the first time we kind of walked through, that the mural and the cactus next to it were kind of connected. So let's now dig into the part which I know you guys love, which is talking about the money. So how much did it cost to turn what you saw earlier into what you just saw?
Okay, so I'm gonna, because Brighton is my good friend, I'm gonna dish because I know that it's helpful to everyone. So let's talk about back when I said that bucket of money from the sale of the teeny houseboat in Seattle. Well, I never really spent that down. I kind of hung on to it. And when the library house came up, the 1-bedroom house, I was able to purchase it using mostly that and money I had saved. So that library house, and this is 2017, you're not going to find it at this price again anymore in Merida, but I bought it for $159,000. And it did not need any updating, small things, but it wasn't a rebuild. The house that you just toured just now, that was a complete ruin, as you saw. And I bought that like a year after I bought the library house. I had done the refinance, so then I had a little bit more to work with. And this house in ruined state cost $135,000 US. And you wouldn't be able to pay for this size lot in Merida Centro at that price anymore, because that was now maybe, it was probably about 2019, 2020. Now the thing with that is I bought it, I grabbed it, but I didn't really have the money to completely do the remodel at that time. It took 3 years to build this house. I paid as I went, and that, you know, part of me is like, man, it took 3 years to build this house. But then in hindsight, I needed that 3 years because every time I would make a commission, earn some income and save, I would put it toward this house. So it enabled me to pay as I went. And here, it's a total of 4 years later, and I have 2 houses in Merida, Mexico, both mortgage free at this point in time. And that's where I am.
And Amy is not living in Mexico full time. She is living more time up in Portland, Oregon. And so we hang out in Portland too. Just one of my many Mexico friends that I'm hanging out in Portland. I think I've talked about this before, that I have more friends in Portland that have a connection to Mexico than I had like just friends in Portland. So it's kind of just a strange little thing that's happened, just meeting more and more people either from La Paz or from different parts of Mexico that live up in Portland. So during the summers and things like that. But Amy's living up there a good chunk of the time. So both of these are available on Airbnb or at Amy's Casa. There we go, Amy's Casa. You can go there and you can rent both of these places, the smaller library house or the Blue Whale.
Blue Cactus.
Blue Cactus, yes. The blue, back there's the Blue Cactus. I'm getting things now. I'm starting to understand. But one thing Amy didn't mention was the cost of the renovation. It did take 3 years to do it and to pay for it. And I've seen videos as Amy was doing this, and you can go over to her channel and see the whole process. So there'll be, at the end of this video, there'll be a link over to a video about this house on Amy's channel. You can find all sorts of wonderful things about Merida, house tours, things like that. But let's go and pin Amy down on the cost of the renovation. Dish.
Brighton says dish. Okay. So part of the savings and paying for things also included me selling the big house and moving into a much smaller floating house. So that's again how I kept kind of taking the same chunk of change and moving it around. So that 3-year time period it took me to build and furnish this house cost about $250,000 US. So it wasn't cheap. And hopefully that's noted in the tour, the quality and the level of craftsmanship. I think the takeaway here is that, you know, I went from losing my house, losing my apartment, a boat that was taken on some water. I'll show you some pictures of the Brighton. I'll toss in here because it was crazy with this boat, to owning 2 homes in Merida, Mexico, free and clear. And, you know, I could have sat and been sorry for myself. And, you know, if I had a dog, I'm sure it would have run away. It would have run over to Brighton and Cats and been like, these guys are great dog owners. But, you know, I found a way, and I did it on my own. So you can do it too. And that's all. That's my encouragement for you today.
So encouragement is great, but I would love to hear a tip for you all. Amy's top tip for those who are thinking about moving to Mexico.
My top tip, one of them, is don't get stuck in the rut of paralysis by analysis. I'm not saying, you know, rip the Band-Aid off and buy in the first city you ever visit in Mexico, but don't turn it into...
Right as Amy is talking, I'm cutting that off because that's what Kat and I did. We just moved into the first city. we took a little vacation trip and bought the same weekend. So, okay, let's get back to the spreadsheet analysis.
Now, you know, if you go the Brighton and Cat method of like, hey, let's pop down here for a weekend, whoops, we bought a house, then that's fine too. But I've met so many people that are so focused on the research and analysis that they don't end up doing anything and wish they would have done it sooner. I just know that in my life, as I go down this path, I could stay home and work for another decade and make leaps, you know, and make a really good income, but I'm stepping back from my income greatly in order to make this change for my personal health and well-being. So I'm just saying, don't end up saying, I wish I would have done it sooner.
Okay, so I've got to wax poetic here, and I can't remember the exact words, but don't wait till you feel like you're doing it, like you're ready to do something, because if you wait that long, you've waited too long. So definitely jump in when you're a little bit scared, and Mexico is going to pay you back tenfold for getting it done sooner. All of us down here, I think everyone's like, God, I just would have done it a little bit sooner. I wish I would have figured this out. Now's the time for you to figure it out. So I've got more videos for you. Down here is a video from Amy's channel about her renovation of the house that you're seeing now. And up here are other folks from Merida, if those are ready. Otherwise, there'll be other folks from all around Mexico. So from Merida, wish you were here. Hasta luego. Hey, can you do me a favor? If you haven't already subscribed, click the subscribe button and the little bell icon so that you can get notified of future videos. That's something folks don't know about. You got to click the bell icon plus the subscribe. That's just weird YouTube stuff, but it really helps me out. If you are already a subscriber, I would love it if you shared this video with someone else because, hey, Amy's got a great story. Let's get back to Amy's story.